No worries. Got it.
Welcome to Grue, and thanks so
Oh,
much for coming on the show. Hey, Scott.
hi, Scott.
Hey guys, sorry I jumped right as the recording is happening.
It's
It's
all good.
okay.
It's
All
all
right,
good.
Scarlet, Rocco, Scarlet. I will leave you guys to it.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Oh, so yeah, the first thing I wanted to start out asking you is, I see you act, you write, you direct. Like, when did you know you wanted to do everything, like act and make films?
I would say that I knew I wanted to perform. I knew I wanted to like be on stage since I was little. Like I sang Age of Aquarius for the third grade talent show. And like I feel like that tells you a lot about me.
Yeah.
And I sort of always had a passion for the performing arts and for the arts in general, really, truly. I always loved expressing myself in that way. I painted, I was in every after school class. I was dancing. I was, singing. And yeah, so I guess it's just always been a thing I knew I wanted to do since I was little.
Wow, okay. And you mentioned you sing and dance because I saw you actually made an album, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm not so much a dancer, but I tried it when I was a kid. I stuck with singing and acting, so that stayed with me. But yes, I did release an EP called Thelma, and my music project is Laredo. That's my music name.
Oh wow, okay, okay. So do do you ever do live shows like with your music?
Yeah, so Laredo I haven't performed with in a while, but we did do live shows here in LA. And then now I sing in a sort of like a duo cabaret act called Country Cabaret, which is like just really fun. It's me and one of my best friends, Marnie. And we kind of play these like Southern Dolly Parton-esque characters, and we sing country music, and we sort of just, it's very fun. It's very like kitschy, and I just love doing it. We wear like giant wigs. It's great.
Awesome. And so you have a short that's coming out, and it's called Velma. And what inspired you to want to write and make it?
So Velma is really inspired by the feminine experience and shame around sex and sexuality that is sometimes put on women and oftentimes and sadly becomes like intrinsic and internalized. And that really was like the inspiration behind the whole story, and kind of telling a story through a character that has such an extreme reaction to these themes was really fun, and a really cool way to illustrate the themes without sort of banging you on the head with it, you know?
That that makes a lot of sense. Like,
No
you
pun
turn it,
intended.
you know, you turn it into something fun, into like a horror
Yeah,
short. So horror is fun.
I love her. I know, it really is. It's so much fun. It's a fun
Yeah.
way to tell like unfun things. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly, yes. Yeah, I'm a huge horror fan. Like, I
same.
started out running like a horror site, so like, yeah, so anything with horror I love.
Same. I'm a huge horror fan.
Nice, nice. And you also star in the film, the short, and can you tell us like who you play, and who your character is?
Yeah, of course. So I play Velma, who's the title character, and she is this woman in the late 60s who's trying to find love, and she's trying to find someone who will love her for who she is and not necessarily for what she is or for being a sexual object. And I think she just takes that a little bit too far. There's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And what what was it like working with one of the big stars of Days of Our Lives, Zach?
Zach, oh my God, Zach is amazing. He's a good friend. Um, he's actually one of my best friends' brother-in-law, and I've known him for years, and he's just like a consummate professional. He shows up and is just like wonderful on set. He had, suggestions and thoughts and like was just really, really, truly like 100% lovely and also like a talent. Just like he's so, so talented. I remember we were in the final scene, which I won't give away, but we were sitting there and I'm like, acting, but also thinking about what the camera is seeing because I'm directing, but he's sitting like in front of me and I can't see him because we're both facing the same direction. And he said, and I was like still in the zone of what had just happened, which is like a big moment. And he said, do you want me to cry? And I didn't hear I couldn't like hear because it's literally like after a big moment on set, sometimes your ears ring and you're just like, especially when you're so in character and it's like kind of
Yes.
traumatic, what's happening. And he said, do you want me to cry? And I didn't really know what he said. So I just said, yeah. And then I saw the footage and it is incredible. One tear just like rolled down his cheek. It was amazing. And I was just like, oh my God, he said, do you want me to cry? Like I didn't, until I was in the editing room, I didn't know what he had said in that moment. And he was just phenomenal. And I just cannot say enough good things about him. He's a wonderful human, a wonderful actor, and everyone should hire him.
Okay. Like how do you cry on cue? Because I mean, for me, it's hard for me to cry unless something sad happens to me. I
I
don't know
mean,
how some
same.
people
Let me
cry.
know when you find out. So for me, it's very much like I have to be in character. I have to build up to the moment because I cry in Velma like a few times, but with Zach, it was just like, boom, like, and I think it's that like soap opera training. Like I think you have to show
Probably,
up on set, do your thing, go. Like I think it's very good. I mean, it's like soap opera actors are incredible actors, I think, for that reason.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like they work very hard. Like a lot of people don't know how hard they work. They work during the
Every
week,
day.
hours, like pages and pages of scripts and dialogue, and
Exactly.
yeah. And you wrote, direct, and star in this film. So was it ever hard for you to direct and act, like direct your own scenes, I guess?
So, I mean, I started directing because I wanted to make films to act in. So, like my very first short film, I also starred in. My second and third, I also starred in. So I kind of learned by doing, right? But I was learning how to do both because that's all I knew. So
Yeah.
it's kind of something that now I really understand the rhythm of. But I will say what's super important when you're directing and acting is to have a crew that you really trust, that executes your vision, that you speak the same language, or you just like learn to speak the same language on set. It's super important. And I really had the gift of a crew that did that for Velma. So that was just like a wonderful experience. So it never really was hard, to do
Yeah.
both because I was able to leave the camera and be like, okay, I trust that you all have this.
Okay. Okay. And what made you go with like the whole 1960s, 70s vibe?
So I'm like super attracted to the 60s and 70s and the 50s aesthetics. Like I always have been since I was little. When I was like 12 and sort of discovered like Marilyn Monroe and like, discovered these like icons of the 50s, it kind of opened my world and opened the doors to continue to discover those kinds of aesthetics and those people and those stories. And so they've always been a huge influence on me. Valley of the Dolls was a huge influence on me.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
as a film, it really like when, some people say like they remember their lives before and after like a moment. So like I remember my thoughts on film before and after Valley of the Dolls. And so I think that that's clearly reflected in Velma and in my directing style. I also think that the 50s and 60s aesthetic is so strong and so beautiful. And it's really important to me and fun for me in my work to tell difficult, sometimes ugly truths within very beautiful worlds. I love that juxtaposition.
Oh, nice. And well, your film, your horror film, doesn't shy on blood, which is awesome.
Thanks.
And so, who did you wind up getting for all the like blood gore stuff?
So the special effects makeup artist was Krista Llewellyn. She's amazing. And it was one take. I mean, we had one take to get that shot. And so, like I said, you just
Really?
gotta trust your crew. Yeah, because I had one
Oh
wig
wow.
and I only had one wig. I could only afford one wig. Our budget was very small. So I had one wig, and that was the last shot of the entire film, and the entire 2-day shoot was like the blood, the money
Mhm.
shot, I guess you call it. And it was the last shot of the entire, it was the martini. And she sat in front of me with like a spray thing with blood in this bucket. And we just, we were literally like 1, 2, 3. And I just started going. And then she started spraying. And it just was, I mean, I love that shot. I think it's beautiful. I think it's sad. I think it's tragic and like wonderful. And she was just a key part of that film.
Oh man, nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really, really
Yeah,
great.
it definitely was.
Thank
And,
you.
and I noticed like you had like a lot of good music on the films. So how did you wind up picking like the music and the scores?
So my good friend and collaborator, Matias Piagari, he is an incredible musician. He is a producer, he scores films, and I met him in 2016 when I did a short film called Dolores, and he did sound on set for that. And then I don't know how I found out that he also like scores. Well, he's like an incredible tango musician, like he's a
Oh,
pianist.
really?
And he's like multi-talented, hyper-talented genius. And he did the score on my first feature called Phaedra. And he did this like, I wish that I could just release the score as an album because he is that talented. It's just like gorgeous. And yeah, so then I was like, oh, I'm gonna call Matias. I had one song, clearly Moon River, which was, I bought the license to, but everything else was an original score and it was all him. And again, someone who can execute a vision that you have is just so important. And like you keep those people if you can, you keep them around. And I hope I get to keep Matias around for a while.
Yeah, definitely, because everything looked good, sounded good. So
Thank
yeah, I hope so too. And is there with of course without giving a lot away because it's not out yet. So, but is there like a certain scene that you had the most fun filming?
Hmm. The most fun. I mean, clearly the last scene was really, really fun, but I really loved shooting my stuff with Zach, because like all the scenes with him, because again, like he's so talented, but he's just like also so grounded as an actor. And like when someone is giving you very real energy and you get to give back this very real energy, it's like a beautiful thing within this very heightened atmosphere and this very heightened world. I think we were able to find this really lovely like connection. And then we have like a lovely like dance scene. I don't know, it was like like I felt really nice shooting those with him because not only does he make me feel very comfortable, but like he was just very giving as an actor. Like he was just giving me very, very lovely energy to work off of. And that's like just always such a pleasure.
Oh wow. And was there any funny or cool stories from the set while filming this?
Oh, yeah. So the first day we get to set and the grip truck hadn't shown up yet. And like it was very late because I don't know if it was like they couldn't find the key or like they couldn't open, like something happened. And I even have like a little video. It was like I did like a little video journal. I never like posted it, but I probably should. That was just like, hey, it's day one and we're beginning the day with no grip truck. Like, but you have to just roll with the punches. Like
Oh yeah, of course.
when you make indie film, it's all punches, right? Like it's finding the like beautiful moments between the punches. And I think that it's just keeping cool and keeping calm in those moments is like such a beautiful lesson and metaphor like for life. But yeah, that was really funny. That was a way to start the day, which was hilarious.
It definitely sounded like a really fun way to start the day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What do you love most about making horror films?
So, oh, I love her so much. But I do love that horror lends itself to camp and to high
Mhm.
stylization. You can kind of do whatever you want, right? It's genre, which is the beauty of genre, is that you don't have to stick to realism. You don't have to
Right.
be in a world that like other people know or like can recognize. You can create really, really create your own worlds. Because the stories you're telling are very fantastical and I think that I was able to do that with Velma. I was able to create a world and tell a story in it and and have all that camp and high glamour and like high style that I love and that I gravitate toward. And that's yeah, that's one of the things I love about making horror and genre in general.
Oh yeah, they're horror is the best.
It really is. It's great.
Are there any horror films that you love watching?
Ooh, so I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original was so
Mhm.
like that another one. That's another movie that was really influential to me. That was the first time that I remember seeing the sunset or the sunrise scene where Leatherface is like swinging the saw, and I was like,
Yeah.
that is gorgeous. I mean, that shot, if you look at it, it's beautiful. And I was like, I just watched such a horrifying thing happen but this shot is so beautiful and like the end is so like big and beautiful that it was just
Yes.
attractive to me. I was like, "Oh, like okay, I think I want to do that."
Oh,
And so that kind of definitely like molded me in a way. So Texas Chainsaw, huge, big part of my heart.
ah,
Um Suspiria from Dario
oh, I love that
Argento,
movie.
the original. And I also love the remake. I think the remake was beautifully done. That's a
Mhm.
big favorite. I actually love The Conjuring, like the first Conjuring. I thought that was the scariest movie I had seen in theaters in like 10 years. When I saw it, someone started crying in the row in front of me and had to leave. And I think it was that scary. But like I also will watch any horror film. Like put a horror film on and I'm gonna be stuck to the TV, good or bad.
Definitely same.
Yeah. And then the other one that I've been very into is Pearl. Pearl was wonderful. And
Yeah.
just like and Midsummer. I mean, Hereditary was
Yes.
incredible. Yeah, I love like wild films and I love films that are a little bit irreverent and I think those movies kind of are that.
And another film that I love, I mean, it's not a horror film, but it's kind of dark, almost on the same lines as a horror film, The Crow with Brandon Lee.
Definitely. Yeah. I was just answering some questions about my favorite horror films and Texas Chainsaw. I wrote about how my older brother had the poster and he also had the Crow poster. And he
Nice.
was a lot older than me. But I would see these posters like as a little kid and just be like, what are these? And like I can remember the poster in my brain, you know? So like, yeah, the Crow is also amazing. I mean, so much good stuff.
Oh my God, yeah. And I see you also run your own fashion line too. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's called Scarletini Originals. I started it during COVID because I like couldn't make movies. So, none of us could. And so I started making, I've always loved fashion. Obviously, it's a big part of who I am too, as a filmmaker, as an artist in general. And I found that it was just a really lovely outlet for me. I make vintage inspired pieces with vintage and dead stock fabric. So I try and use fabric that's already available, and it's kind of sustainable in that way, which is also fun. It's like a fun challenge.
Oh wow, that sounds really really nice. That sounds
Thanks.
cool.
Thank you.
And what do you like doing during your free time, if you ever have any?
During my it's so funny. I'm like, watch scary movies. During my
There you
free
go.
time, I love watching horror films. I love hanging out with my dog Elvis. He's the best. He's a very small poodle. I hang out with my husband, and we go to shows, like we love music. I love going to the movies. I don't know. I'm not, it's funny because like I love to sing and I love to make art, but those things are now like work related. But
Yeah, sure.
but yeah, I think in my free time I like hang out with my dog and my husband.
Okay, okay. And what kind of music do you like listening to? Like, what's on your playlist?
It's so funny. I'm like an old man when it comes to my music because like I don't it's true. Like I don't really listen to new stuff, and that's bad. I'm not like proud of that. But I listen to a ton of just like classic rock and like classic country. I love Dolly Parton. I love Patsy Cline. Obviously, I love the women of country music. I love the Beatles, obviously, Led Zeppelin, like Elvis is a huge, I think Elvis is actually a pretty big influence on me as a performer in general, and like
Okay.
as a person who makes music, but also aesthetically, like in his way of being, like I think I'm
Mhm.
very influenced by that too, like that iconicity and stardom, like people like him and Cher and Dolly like have in common, I love that.
Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, you even named your dog after him, so.
Yes. Yeah, hint, hint.
If you were gonna do a karaoke song, what do you think you would pick?
One of my big karaoke's is Purple Rain.
Oh, Prince.
Yeah, yeah. I love to do Purple Rain. I love to do uh Life After Love. Do you believe in Life After Love by Cher?
Yeah,
Um
sure, yeah.
I like I like to do Suspicious Minds by Elvis. I have some karaoke go-tos clearly, so.
All right, okay. Is there any place you would love to travel to that you haven't seen?
Yes, I'd really love to go to Spain. I mean, I've like been to Spain, but just like for a second, in like a layover. So I'd like to spend some time in Spain. I'd like to see Thailand. I've never been to Thailand. I'd really, yeah, like I think Spain, Thailand are on my list.
Nice. And what is your fashion sense like? I see you dress really really well.
Thanks.
I love the whole thing you got on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very this. My fashion sense, I guess, is like feathers, fuzzy stuff. It's very like Jennifer Coolidge meets Elvis, I guess. So
Oh,
that's how
that's
I would
awesome.
describe it right now. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what about food? Like, what are some foods you like?
Oh my God, I love sushi and Italian. Those are like my two favorite foods.
Like,
Any pasta, anytime.
all right, okay, nice. And are you more of a coffee or tea person?
Coffee, iced coffee every morning, or don't talk to me.
I'm the same way. You don't want to talk to me unless I have a cup of coffee in my system. Like I have to have at least one.
Yeah, my dad's mom, my Grammy, was literally that. Like she would like not talk to you and let before she had her coffee. She was like, mm-mm, stay away. It was like, actually, don't talk to me, which is so funny.
And is there anything coming up next that you want to plug? I mean, I know your horror short's about to come out. Anything else you're working on too?
Yeah, so Velma will be out for the public on my Vimeo on March 26th. And also, I just made another short film called Little Lucha and the Big Deal with my co-director and friend Josh Stifter, who I met on Rebel Without a Crew. And that movie we just submitted to festivals, so fingers crossed we'll be premiering that within the next few months, I hope. It's amazing. It's about two wrestlers in the early 80s. We play them. I'm the Big Deal. He's Little Lucha, and you'll see.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I'm
Um,
excited.
wrestling is like my other thing that I love besides horror.
Yeah, I think that's like a connection for people. It's like people who love horror like love wrestling because we love theatrics. We love like big, bright, bold characters.
Uh, I have to ask this then, like, is there any wrestlers that you like? Like, do you have any ones that you watch the most, or?
I mean, I am a big like Hulk Hogan. Like I love the Hulk. I love like I love Macho Man. Like I love the early
Macho Man
80s,
Randy
like early
Savage.
90s. Sorry, late 80s, early 90s, like big stars. Like Macho Man was so I kind of dress like Macho Man too. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
a part
me
of
too.
my style for sure, like there's some influence there. I can't deny it. And Ric Flair was a big
Ooh.
influence on my character, the Big Deal. So
Uh, well, yeah, like Flair had the
the
robe with the
feathers.
feathers too, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. You'll
like
people have caught that in the like any sort of posts that we've done about the movie. They're like, "Oh my God, you look like Dolly Parton and Ric Flair had a baby." And I'm like, "Thank you. That's exactly what I'm going for." Mom and dad.
oh, that's awesome. And the last thing I will ask you is, where can fans follow you at?
Please find me on Instagram at Scarlettini, 1T, 2 N's. And my website is scarlettmoreno.com, and that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, it was really fun talking to you. Like, when you have the wrestling film, I would definitely love to have you back on and talk about that.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'd love to.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks for doing this. It was really nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you, Rocco.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Have a good day and weekend.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Uh,